So the most important thing in learning is to have fun. This is one of the best ways to learn because, I just tell a short story, then we come to the questions. Last year, or maybe not last year, 2 years ago, I had a really great English teacher in oral expression, okay? And we used to learn using, games, language games, like picking adjectives according to names. And it was really fun. I felt like I've never learned in any other way other than that way. The method plays a major role in learning. Okay, so we come back to the question of the importance of learning a foreign language in Skype with a native speaker.
Okay, yes. So some of the benefits I think about Skype are that the main benefit I think is the time efficiency, because it's very good for professional people that work and mums that don't have a lot of time. Professional people, they can do it after they finish work and they don't have to travel to a place and sit through a class, and they don't have to travel back. So it cuts out all of that time, giving them time to do everything else that they do in their leisure. And also it's tailored to learning on a one-to-one, whereas when you're in classroom lessons, the classes aren't tailored to what you want to learn. They are tailored to what the class is supposed to learn on that day. You don't get so much opportunity to ask questions. So with a Skype call that's direct one-to-one, you get loads of opportunity to ask questions. And if you're having any particular problems, you're not taking up the time, the whole time of the teacher. So those are some of the benefits. And for example, for mums as well, it's easy to fit round a childcare schedule if you've got or if you're working and you want to do a lesson while the baby's asleep. So it's really good for those types of people. And plus I can teach all over the world, so obviously my students can come from all over the world. So I have students in lots of different countries. I have at the moment I've got Chinese students, I've got Brazilian students, I've got a student from Kuwait, and lots of different countries can sort of tune in and really discover like how to speak to an English person that's lived in England and used the English language for most of my life.
Yes, that's pretty good. Yeah. So according to you and your experience, what do you think about my English personally? Do you think my pronunciation needs a little bit of improvement, or what advice can you give me as an English learner to improve my learning or my pronunciation?
Well, I would say with pronunciation, the most important thing is to make sure that you're understood. That's 100% thing. You don't have to have the perfect accent, but if you're not using the correct word stress or pronouncing your vowels properly, it can be very sorry.
I said maybe the intonation of speaking.
Yes, exactly. If you're not using the sentence stress, word stress, if you're not using the right vowels, if you don't really understand how the language works, because you've got to remember, like, a lot of my students are European.
Yes.
And they have like a phonetic language, like Spanish, for example, is a phonetic language. So they are used to reading every letter and every letter having the same sound. So you've got to give that idea up in English. I say, don't go for perfection, go to be understood, and try and understand that English is not a phonetic language. Not every letter is going to sound how it looks on the paper. And for pronunciation, keep practicing the words. There isn't really an easy way to teach pronunciation. Majority of it is understanding the theory is very good, but the practice is the main thing.
So my second question would be, what's the difference between learning from YouTube videos and learning from native speakers directly? What's the difference between this method of learning and the other method of talking to them, I mean to native speakers directly?
Well, there's a difference between spoken English and learned English. So the English that you can learn online or from a YouTube channel, actually, when you take it out into the street, can be quite different, especially with expressions. Obviously, you don't have the chance to stop the
Yes.
YouTube and ask any questions. You know, why do we use this? Why don't we use that? So if you're talking to native speakers, they can answer questions for you, and they can explain why we use these words and why we don't use these words. So that's one of the benefits of actually speaking to native. And I just think just basically learning the different expressions that people use, because they can be quite confusing. We use a lot of phrasal verbs in English, so that's really in general what I think.
Yes, because a lot of people tend to know the communication. I mean, phrasal verbs, for example, because phrasal verbs usually contain preposition, and the preposition itself is an issue for new learners. So, for example, if we have the question, someone arrives in a place or a country, I mean, learners, beginners would say arrive to instead of arrive in. For example, I go to another country, let's say Egypt or France. I would say I arrive in France instead of I arrive to France. So this is a major problem actually, and this is the benefit of talking to a native speaker directly, because through talking, the learner is going to realize the correct prepositions used in, in a particular context of the language.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. And prepositions are a pretty tricky topic, and they really just you by talking to native speakers, you're just going to get a lot more practice, and they can obviously correct you if you make errors with prepositions.
Yes, so Sarah, thank you so much for this conversation. I appreciate your help. I appreciate your advice for EFL learners, or even for learners who are having intermediate or advanced levels. That would help them greatly. Okay,
Great,
so
you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for
maybe
letting me.
any proposals.
Thank you for letting me come on your YouTube channel, and good luck to everybody that wants to speak English. And don't forget, English is speaking good English is an amazing gift. You know, it gives you amazing opportunities to the world. It's the international language, and when you speak amazing English, you know, it will all be worth it.
Yes, because English is spoken by maybe nearly 1 billion people, like 900 millions and 80 or a similar. So this is a huge number of people actually. So by learning English, there will be a lot of opportunities when it comes to maybe studying abroad, maybe collaborating with other companies, or maybe getting hired. So these are all opportunities available for English learners. So I would thank you once more, and see you in the next time.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes, I would say the last word. As I told you, thank you so much. Excuse me for any delays or.
Oh, no problem.
It was nice. It was really, really nice to meet you. Okay, it was really
Oh,
nice.
no worries, no worries.